It always feels like something suddenly happened. One day they're barely part of the conversation, and the next, everyone is talking about them like they just became someone new. People start saying things like, they've improved so much, they had a glow up, or they finally found themselves. It creates this idea that there was a clear turning point, a moment where everything shifted. But if you look closely, that moment usually doesn't exist. What you're seeing now didn't just appear. It's something that's been building for a long time just outside your attention. Growth doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't always come with visible signs or dramatic changes. Most of the time, it happens quietly in ways that don't look impressive while they're happening. It's built in repetition in small efforts that feel almost invisible from the outside. Day after day, adjusting, learning, fixing things internally. Not for an audience, but because it matters to them. And because no one is watching those moments, they don't feel important. Until one day, the result becomes too clear to ignore. The real shift is not in them. It's in visibility. When someone isn't being noticed, even strong qualities can feel ordinary. Confidence looks normal. Talent looks average. Presence feels easy to overlook. Not because those things are missing, but because attention isn't focused there. The human mind doesn't automatically recognize value. It responds to what stands out. And if something isn't highlighted, it gets passed over, no matter how real it is. Then attention changes. More people start watching, more eyes, more focus, more curiosity. And suddenly, everything about that person starts to feel different. The same behavior that once seemed simple now feels intentional. The same calm energy now feels powerful. Small details begin to stand out. The way they speak, the way they react, even the way they stay quiet. Nothing about those traits is new, but now they're being seen with more attention, so they carry more meaning. There's also a shift in how people observe. When someone becomes more visible, people don't just look at them. They look for something in them. They search for reasons to understand why this person stands out. And in that process, they start noticing things they previously ignored. A subtle expression becomes charisma. A quiet personality becomes mysterious. Consistency becomes discipline. The perception changes even if the person doesn't. Another part people overlook is consistency. While many people constantly change to fit what's popular or expected, some people stay steady. They don't reinvent themselves completely. They refine who they already are. That kind of growth isn't dramatic, so it doesn't create obvious contrast. It doesn't catch attention quickly. But over time, it builds something deeper. A clear identity. And when that identity finally becomes visible, it feels like a sudden realization, even though it has always been there. Timing also plays a bigger role than people think. Sometimes someone simply exists in a space where they're not fully understood yet. Their style, their energy, their way of expressing themselves. It doesn't match what people are currently focused on. So it gets overlooked. But when the environment shifts, when people are ready to see something different, everything suddenly aligns, and what was once ignored becomes appreciated all at once. It looks like a transformation, but it's really just recognition happening at the right time. People are naturally drawn to clear stories. They like the idea of before and after, of sudden change, of visible improvement. It's easier to understand and more satisfying to watch. But real growth doesn't always fit into that kind of story. It's slower, quieter, and often unnoticed until it reaches a point where it can't be ignored anymore. And by that time, it feels new, even though it isn't. You're not watching something begin. You're seeing something that has already been built. That's why it feels so impactful. Not because it suddenly appeared, but because it carries time, effort, and consistency behind it. Things you didn't see while they were happening. So when it looks like someone has changed, it's worth questioning that assumption. Because most of the time, they didn't suddenly become better, more confident, or more complete. They were already becoming, step by step, in moments that didn't look important enough to notice. And you didn't miss their growth. You just started looking when it became impossible not to.